getting a little mind control to kill two birds with one stone. Shit out of luck, kid. Sorry. You're a killer now. You're a psychotic killer. But I didn't kill them. They lived. Then my father died later. My brother told me he lost a lot of weight. He was a heavy man. He lost a lot of weight. Looked like he did when he was young when he died. I just wanted them both to get better, and I told my grandfather that. But he knew they would never get better. They would just be stone drunks their whole lives. He knew they would never get better. He was just keeping me in play before he can get the major setup, before he can get that major hook into me. He was just keeping me in play. That's why he never pulled me aside, talked to me about anything when I was a young man, because he knew exactly what he was going to do with me my entire life. My father used to make jokes when he was a kid about sacrificing your firstborn child to this or that. I'm the firstborn grandchild. I don't know if my father wanted to sacrifice me to Moloch or some Italian god or whatever, but I'm damn sure now my grandfather wanted to sacrifice me to some Italian god. When I was a kid, to this day, I won't eat eggs or fish or drink milk. So when I was a kid, they must have abused me in some way. They must have tried to feed me the food that they would feed me. Italians would feed a baby, and I must have spit it back out at them. My father used to make jokes that he picked me up when I was a baby, and I'd throw up all over his face. I had nothing but contempt for my family since the day I was born, and with good reason. Because they were abusive bastards, all of them. My father was just the tip of the iceberg. My father was chump change, and my father was a stone cold drunk, yelling, screaming, beating, punching, hitting. I could have beat my father up when I was 14. It was because I loved him that I didn't. It was because I loved him. I didn't kill him when I was 14 or 15. I could have body slammed that guy into oblivion. But I loved him. And I was always taught to respect the family. And I was always taught, this is not a democracy. That's a familiar line. This is not a democracy. I heard that quite a few times when I was a boy. And he used to say, my father used to tell me, this is not a democracy. Maybe that's why I became a political science major. Because somewhere along the line, I got the idea that I was so tough from my life experiences that I could be a Reagan-like figure one day. I could perhaps maybe be president myself one day. I mean, far-fetched idea. But believe me, I did want to get into politics. I did want to get into law and politics. I never considered myself presidential material, But I would have been happy to fight the good fight. I would have been happy to do that. No problem. I wanted to be a Reagan-like politician, and I used to align all of my thinking around conservative thoughts. I was coming up with terms that I didn't even know existed. Like, I came up with the word neoconservative, and I heard it like a year later. I didn't know that word existed. I was coming up with I would think deeply about politics. I was obsessed with it. Totally obsessed. And it must have all started, the root of it must have been, these child abusing sons of bitches keep telling me that this is not a democracy. Well, guess what? I'm going to make it a fucking democracy. How about that? I get hit by trucks and get back up and keep going. I'm going to make it a fucking democracy. Maybe that's what I was saying to myself. Because it should be a democracy. Can't be a situation where you just let fucking cops just abuse the shit out of kids. Grandparents supposed to be a big fucking to-do with some big Fortune 500 company and does nothing. He knew what he was going to do for me from day one. It was never revenge. He knew what he was going to do with me. He never had a choice. He knew what he was going to do. He was going to use me to get them, and he didn't give a fuck what happened to me. I was the sacrifice. I was the sacrificial lamb. takes away the sins of the world. And I was a good Catholic boy. I was an altar boy. I would take away the sins of the world, friend. But I didn't. I thought it was ridiculous to kill them, my parents. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Why would I kill them? They're this close to dying themselves. They've been killing themselves for 40, 50 years. Well, I guess they were in their 60s. When it had to be like 40 years they were killing themselves. Drugs and fucking alcohol and partying. My parents were stone hedonists. My brother ended up telling me stuff about my parents that I didn't even know. I mean, that's how I survived when I was a boy. I had to ignore them. If I didn't ignore them, I would have lost it when I was a kid. I really would have lost it. I had to ignore them all the time. My brother didn't ignore them, though. He knew. He knew what their little sins were, I guess. He knew what their sins were. I'm gonna get a smoke. Hang on. I was always a good kid. I always obeyed orders. They could have talked me into this or that whenever the fuck they wanted to. It would have been no problem. I was always a good kid. Take any beating, take any order. Nah, we need you to do this. Okay. Carry this air conditioner. Do this, do that. All right. They kicked me out, cut me off without a dime. That's what I got for all my pain. Same way I got exited from the correctional facility I worked at. Of course, I had severance, I had time saved up, and also I got money when I left that. But I mean, they kicked me out without an ounce of respect. So did my grandfather. Still don't really understand why. Still trying to figure it out. Still swirling around in my brain why. Couldn't put it together. The whole situation was obviously orchestrated to break me. To break me down mentally. To turn me into a wackadoo like them. Or worse. Or worse. I'm reminded of the Rush song, days and weeks and months went by. I ran out of money. About 9 years I was able to sustain myself. Got into law school, didn't stay. I sat there. Said to myself, oh, here I am. I'm in law school. This is exactly what I said I was going to do with myself. Joe Biden's law school. He wasn't vice president at the time. I was sitting in Joe Biden's law school. Good regional school. Not what I wanted. I was worth way better than that law school if I was working on 100% brain power, like I said. If I wasn't so whacked out in the head, I could have gotten into a good school, at least Rutgers Law. I didn't even try to get into Rutgers Law. So I'm sitting here in law school. I said, there's no way I'm ever going to get a job. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. People talk, people spread rumors. I don't care what the lies are. I mean, I don't care what the laws are. I mean, laws and lies, they're synonymous, right? These days, especially with Trump, right? We see it. Laws and lies are synonymous. Man, it's a Freudian slip of meaning. I know what the law were. They're not allowed to talk about that stuff, but that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I ended up getting a job at a restaurant down there because I was still a good-looking guy. But I was so socially maladept because all my human contact was negative contact. I mean, it was it was with inmates. I didn't, I hadn't had regular social contact since my first year of college, So I'm in here in this hospital, or not this hospital, this restaurant, trying to work in this restaurant, hoping to go to law school and work at the restaurant at the same time. I'm feeling like a jerk because the guy had called my work because I had to put down my place that I used to work at, and somebody must have told him about me. Maybe somebody sent a hint at him, watch out for this guy or something. So I felt like a jerk working there, you know, because I said to myself, they're not supposed to tell an employer anything about me. They're just supposed to give a reference or say, he was a good employee or whatever. They're not supposed to talk about anything else. So I don't know what the hell I said to this guy who hired me. So anyway, I do their little class. He ended up firing 2 people out of that class. I was the last man standing out of there. Fired 2 girls I was supposed to work with. And it kind of sent me out on the road a little bit. The first day I screwed up big time. I started stuttering. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about because my brain was all screwed up. I had all kinds of things swirling around in my head, all kinds of negative thoughts. And being the football player I am, you always finish on your best rep when you're working out or when you're playing football. Even when you screw up, you always finish on your best rep. Instead of quitting right there after that disaster of a first day, I went back again. And I pulled it together. And I sat around a bunch of kids. I was 30-something. These were 20-somethings. And he said, "You were absolutely wonderful tonight." It was unbelievable. It's like night and day. I was like their hero for a day. And then I quit. I couldn't go out like that. I had to finish strong. That's all. It's my whole life. Even when I fail, I have to finish strong. I always have to finish strong no matter what. Even in the face of death, I have to finish strong. Yeah, these kids were real happy. They're like, "Man, you were wonderful today. What the hell happened to you?" It's because I ignored them all and let my own personality take over. They were telling me I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to memorize the menu and all that. And I'm like, these people don't want to hear the friggin' special on the menu. They already know what they're going to order. These people don't want to hear the goddamn menu specials. Just go and say, "Oh, you know, well, I'm not going to try to imitate it now because it was so long ago, and I'll look like stupid if I tried to imitate how I just let go and was myself, and it was great." And then I quit because I knew law school wasn't right for me, and this place wasn't right for me. So I quit, and I went home, and I hit again. This time for 7 or 8 years. Till about 2009, I was on my last dime. I paid my last month's rent. I threw out all the garbage in my apartment that I lived in, and I had no contact with anyone. Talked to my grandfather a few times. He didn't care. Probably laughing at me under his breath, probably happy that he knew I was on my way to ruin. He knew I was on my way to ruin. Then he died. And of course, with both of my parents dead, my brother became the inheritor because I was completely cut out of everything. My parents even cut me out of their inheritance. So now I'm cut out of everything. The honor student, South Jersey football player. The sacrifice to Moloch gets cut out of everything. And that was okay. I didn't mind. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind my grandfather kicking me out of the family. I just wish he'd done it when I was 15. I could have planned ahead. I was still a good soldier when I was 15. I was still following orders for the family when I was 15. It wasn't like he pulled me aside and said, "There ain't no future for you around here, boy. Better get your shit together." None of that. And they used to tell those stories too. My father used to tell me, say, yeah, they'd pull him aside and offer him money, do this and that. If you don't do this or that. Supposedly the story was they offered my father $5,000, and I guess this was 1969. They offered him $5,000 and a trip to the islands if he didn't marry my mother. Ah. Apparently, baby Joey interrupted a big, strong, handsome Italian guy's life. Baby Joey came along. Supposedly the foam baby. My mother, I wasn't even supposed to be conceived. My mother said that she used spermicidal foam, and somehow I broke through it and became pregnant. She became, not I became pregnant, she became pregnant. I was on unplanned pregnancy. And now it's starting to make a little more sense because I never thought about it like that. I just thought, well, when things happen like that, it's just one of those things. It's not that interrupting. But as I started to think about it, you have to remember, I didn't say this before, but I'm ambidextrous. I can do things left-handed, I can do things right-handed, but unless I train myself, I don't reverse, right? So I eat left-handed, which I don't know how I ended up eating left-handed because I don't know if anybody taught me to eat left-handed. I just do it now. I'm left eye dominant when I shoot a gun, right? I eat left-handed, I write left-handed, but because my father was right-handed when he taught me how to play sports, I'm a right-handed baseball player, football, right-handed that. So it must mean that I'm ambidextrous, but I don't, unless I train myself, I can't go the other way, depending on what I'm doing. It's weird. I'm kind of I've said this to people before, I'm sort of a platypus of dexterity. I'm all confused. And when I was a kid, I would write my letters backwards. D, if I was thinking writing B, I would write a D. And I would have to erase it, and my papers were always messy because my handwriting was always terrible because I didn't give a shit. That I'd erase it sloppily and work it. So I used to win everything anyway. I mean, I would win. I got good grades. I never had to study. I never cared about anything. So my handwriting was sloppy. I never cared about that either. I cared. Yeah. Like I said, this is it's absolutely amazing to me that this happened to me. It really is. It's a mind fuck of unimaginable proportions. It really is. It's a fucking mind fuck, man. So where was I at in my little story? I can't remember. Yeah, so, it's 2009, and on my last dime, paid the rent, and I had a couple bucks in the bank. But I had my pickup truck, which was paid off, and I love that car. I love that Ford. It was worth more than what I sold it for. I went to an Automax and sold it for $6,000. And I had a summer of craziness with $6,000 until I ended up homeless on the streets of Arizona. Stopped in Vegas. I figured, well, if I'm going to die, if it's going to end for me, I might as well spend this $6,000 and go see this country. So what did I do? Maybe in my own head, I was trying to retrace my steps because I was still trying to figure out what happened to me and why. So I'm taking Greyhound buses all over the place now. Cheap way to travel. I had nothing but time. No job, no place to live. Took Greyhound buses all. Where the hell did I go? I went to Ocean City, Maryland for a week just to spend some time on the beach. I walked through the streets of Baltimore by myself. That's how much balls I have. I got lost going to the bus station in Baltimore. I got lost. I'm walking through the streets of Baltimore. The black people are looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing here? I didn't care because I didn't pose him any threat. Which is what made me upset to begin with, because I really don't pose a threat to people that I was talking to the black cab driver who I had eventually had to call because I got lost walking the streets of Baltimore by myself. I'm talking to a black cab driver about politics. He picks me up for some fucking street corner somewhere. Hey, man. Sure. I need to go to the bus station. I got lost walking the streets. Oh, that's what happened to you. Okay. Throw your bag in the back here. Come on. Take you to the bus station. That's what he did. And I tipped him, gave me the bag, and I sat there with a bunch of black people at the bus station for 2 hours, waiting to get on a bus to go to Ocean City, Maryland. I'm not threatening the black people. That's why I didn't understand any of this stuff. Been around black people all my life. My black supervisors call me racist, saying I created all these problems. I'm just not like that. I'm not that guy. I'm not that person. I've been around black people all my life. I grew up in Pensacola, Camden, I've hung out with black people at parties. Just not, for them to say that I'm a racist, to say all these things. See, they were gaslighting me is what was going on. They were gaslighting me. They were softening me up. My own family was gaslighting me. My friends were gaslighting me to get rid of me. They knew I wasn't a racist. They knew I was a damn good guy. But perhaps I had gone beyond their control. Maybe they didn't want to see a big, handsome white guy push people around. Or maybe they were just afraid of me. Maybe the whole damn lot of them were just afraid of me. I consider these people my friends. I went bowling with them, down to the bar, drinking beer, eating wings. These people were my friends. And now they all turned on me like nothing. They turned on me like that. People were my friends, supposedly. So I ran out of the $6,000. I actually spent. I got this ridiculous deal on Priceline for 11 days, all inclusive in Mexico for like $1,100. It was $100 a day, airfare included. I went by myself, and they were laughing. They were laughing at me. Let me tell you something. That was the best vacation I ever went on. I mean, I got drunk as a fuck. And I'm not a big drinker. I mean, I can go for years without drinking. But I figure all inclusive, I'm getting all inclusive. But I got so paranoid in the hotel room because I started getting, there was a time where they were reporting the cartels were beheading people, putting them in acid. I mean, it was weird. It was fucking crazy. It was fear and loathing. It was fear and loathing in Mexico. And let me tell you something. When you got that kind of fear, when you're laughing at the world, when you're at the lowest point of your life and you're still fucking laughing at the world, you're laughing at this whole fucking mess of a situation that you're in. You're in a hotel room alone in Mexico. You got these little fucking beasts in the backyard staring at you at night, these little nocturnal little fuckers. I was laughing my fucking ass off. Watching Rocky in Spanish. Watch fucking Rocky in Spanish. That I'm fucking Rocky, right? Fucking drunk as stuff. Oh. I got fucking booze sliding down my fucking throat. Here's Rocky. Rocky, what other movies was I watching? Some Mexican fucking channel. I almost drank fucking 10, 12-year-old booze. I'm not talking about like aged scotch or something. I'm talking about booze that was literally sitting there. Because nobody drinks the booze in the hotel room. I did. I drank every fucking drop. And I never drank like that in my life. Never. Not hard liquor. I mean, I would knock back some beer. I'll knock back beer all day long. But I was knocking back hard liquor, boy. On a plane ride back. It was hilarious. I didn't come out of my room to eat until like the second to the last day there because they had a big festival outside in the resort. So I figured I could just mix in with everybody, grab a plate of sausages or whatever, sausages and potatoes, and get back in the fucking room and start eating. I'm gonna tell you something, I ate like there was no tomorrow. I was fucking starving. I hadn't eaten solid food in like 6 or 7 days. I went to the beach. This woman tried to take her shirt off the beach. She was mad that I was sitting there drinking beer, watching her. Take your fucking shirt off. I don't care about your fucking flat chest. I don't care about your fucking flat-chested fucking floppy boobs. I don't give a fuck. Take your fucking shirt off. I think I'd give a shit. Sitting here getting drunk with sunglasses on. Leave me the fuck alone. She was getting all upset that I was looking at her. So I stayed away from the beach because I didn't want to interrupt the other people. Fucking ugly old. These fucking Europeans are fucking weird, man. Care about your ugly old tits. Get the fuck out of here. Unbelievable. So I had about 400 cash. I made it home somehow, and I go through customs coming back from Mexico, and I was stinking. Let me tell you something. The woman behind me, she sprayed perfume on me, and I didn't blame her one bit. I was not one bit offended. I sat there and take it. She literally took out a bottle of perfume, reached over the seat, spraying me. No shame. And let me tell you something. She had every right to do it. because I was reeking booze from my pores because I had drank old, nasty fucking booze. Get back to Phoenix, Sky Harbor Airport. Checked myself into a hotel room, and I literally spent a week sweating that booze out. A week. It was in my clothes. It was in the bed sheets. It took a week to sweat all that booze out. And then I had like $100 left. Stayed a few more nights at a Holiday Inn across the street in Scarsdale. Now you're homeless. Now I'm homeless. The plan was I was going to commit suicide that last night in Scarsdale, Arizona. I couldn't do it. I tried to commit suicide so many times, it's not even funny. I didn't know what I was living for, but I couldn't die. Tell me that's not mind control. Because somebody programmed me to suffer. Somebody programmed me to suffer. They didn't want me to end it. They just wanted everlasting suffering. Someone programmed me to suffer. You can't even commit suicide now. That's how bad we're into your head, boy. You can't even end it. Okay, big guy. Huh? Smart guy. Thinking you're a big deal. And I'm thinking the whole time, I wish somebody would have done this to my father. Could have saved me a whole hell of a lot of problem. But I had already ruined my father's life when he had me. My father was only 20 when he had me. And throughout all of his abuse and all of his fucking screaming and all of his episodes, I kept in the back of my head, my father was young when he had me. So I had to be understanding. Maybe if he had, felt sown his oats a little bit and not got married, he wouldn't be such an asshole. And I was probably right about that. I can almost picture my grandfather telling him, fuck that broad. Ditch that fucking broad off. Take the fucking kid. Tell her to take the kid, hit the road. My father probably said as a 20-year-old kid, no. I have to marry her. It's my responsibility now. It's my son, and I have to marry her. My grandfather was probably telling him, get the fuck rid of that broad. Fucking kid. Fuck, 20 years old, should be out fucking banging broads. What do you even get married for? That's probably what happened. I was a curse to my family the day I was born. Because my dad was the apple of all of their eyes. The apple of their eyes. He was big, strong, dark, and handsome, and everybody loved him. No matter what he did, my father did fucked up shit. I mean, fucking crazy shit. They still loved him. My father could do no wrong in anyone's eyes, except mine. Me, the political science major. To be continued.